Thank you, Marcus. Listen, I know you're here to support the candidates, and I know there's a lot of energy to do that. So if you want to go ahead and give a big round of applause for all of our candidates, do that right now. Let them know you appreciate them. And I want to reiterate what Marcus said. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond, 2 minutes for the opening and 2 minutes for the closing. If you interrupt with applause, you're going to be taking away from your candidate's time as much as you might want to. We're going to be very much on that clock because Marcus is an old radio guy and I'm a radio guy. We're all about keeping on schedule. So I want to welcome you here tonight. I think it's apparent from our panel here that we have more people running for the 6th Congressional District congressional race here that, well, I think there's more that have showed up here that have successfully registered for Obamacare in the state of North Carolina. So it gives you some idea. So if you're ready and our candidates ready? You've been ready for a while, I hope. Let's begin, and we'll just have each candidate introduce themselves and begin with a 2-minute synopsis of an introduction to you. And we'll begin right here with Mr. Berger.
Hi, good evening. My name is Phil Berger. I am the...
Switch.
Turn the switch on. Good evening. My name is Phil Berger. I am the District Attorney in Rockingham County. I was first elected to serve as District Attorney in 2006 when I beat a 13-year incumbent by 18 points. Now, those of you who have been around politics for a long time, you know that 2006 was an awful year for Republicans. And in the contested races in Rockingham County, I was, along with another Phil Berger, the only candidate that won a contested election in Rockingham County as a Republican. I have also been elected to serve as the president of the North Carolina Conference of District Attorneys. That's an honor that has been bestowed upon me by my colleagues across the state, and it's an obligation that I take very seriously. And I hope what you'll hear over the course of this evening as we go into this election season is promises. I hope you'll hear about the commitment that has been made to the people of this state and the things that we have done to stand by our promises, to make our word count. And what you'll also hear is you'll hear a lot of talk. And talk is cheap. Results matter. I have a history of keeping my promises and doing what I say I would do. And I look forward to talking with you over the course of the next couple of months and earning your support. Thank you.
My name is Zach Matheny. I'm just won my 4th term as right here in this city, a Greensboro City Councilman. When I first ran, I made a promise, and that was to do the best job I could. And in that promise, what happened was I worked with folks like Bill Knight, that many of you know, and we balanced budgets. That wasn't a promise. That's just what we do. We balanced budgets. Not only did we balance budgets despite tough economic times and deficits that were handed down to us by the state, but we were able to decrease taxes in the city of Greensboro. So I'll tell you that my promise is to keep working hard and doing exactly what I do. And I hope that you'll support that. Some of the other things I've done is I'm the only person sitting up here that actually has voted to protect your Second Amendment rights. I've voted, even up recently, to protect the rights for folks that can carry their concealed weapons. So those are very important to me, and hopefully they are to you. That's not a promise, that's my record. The other thing that I've tried to do, and as I've gone through the region and met with folks, business owners, small businesses, large businesses, and quite frankly citizens, is people want a good economy. They want jobs. And what I've done the last 6 years as a Greensboro City Councilman is work outside of just my city, work in regions, work with High Point, Burlington, and the counties that surround, to create a regional approach in which to create an environment to recruit companies to come here. One great point would be HondaJet. HondaJet is the epitome of a regional company. They've got locations in Greensboro that employ over 900, and in Burlington that employ a few hundred. I hope I can garner your support.
Good evening. I'm Bruce Buchanan. My story
began down the road in Asheville many years ago. My father was a postal worker. My mother, who is here tonight, worked for Eveready Battery Corporation for 41 years. I attended high school at Asheville High School. I was very fortunate. In 1972, I was the state tennis champion. Earned a scholarship to Princeton University, where I studied political science, upon which I was awarded a fellowship to study in Singapore. My first job was working in a warehouse storing footwear for tennis professional John Newcomb, who had a footwear company in San Antonio, Texas. And Mr. Newcomb was very kind to me. There was a chance to coach the Taiwan Davis Cup team, and he recommended me for that job, and I was back overseas again. It was a blessing in disguise. I met my wife Sandra, and we've been married for 32 years. When I returned to the United States, I started my career in finance in New York City as a bank trainee. Trained not to make too many mistakes, and then I was overseas again, working in Taiwan initially, and I had a 27-year career in finance with assignments in Singapore, Hong Kong, Geneva, and Taiwan. The experience for me overseas, while living overseas had its conundrums, really crystallized my view about the United States. I think it was from this perspective that I witnessed the greatness of our country with our limited government, free enterprise, liberty, individual. Oh, thank you. Glad to be here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Mike Causey, and I'm a native of Guilford County. I was born and raised just a few miles to the east of here in the Alamance community of Guilford County. I still live on the same farm where I grew up, so I went to county schools, and I've worked for the past almost 40 years involved with Republican politics. I grew up in a conservative Democrat family, and I've run for office before when no Republican would in statewide office, but I'm an Army veteran, and I can say there's not many veterans in this race. I'm a strong supporter of Second Amendment rights, and when I first entered the Army, I won't say I joined because I was drafted, but anyway, when you start in the Army, you take an oath, and I pledged an oath to the Constitution of the United States to defend this country, and I've tried to live by that ever since. I'm a small business owner. I own a farm market in downtown Greensboro. I've owned several other businesses, antique shops in Jamestown and other parts of Guilford County. I currently work for the North Carolina Department of Transportation. I oversee the Adopt a Highway program. We have over 5,000 volunteers. My main platform is to cut spending, cut spending, cut spending. The overreach and overspending of this federal government is killing our economy, it's killing our jobs opportunities, and I will welcome the opportunity for you to learn more about me and look at Mike Causey. We have a website, causeyforcongress.com. Thank you for the opportunity to present our views here tonight.
Good evening. Let me say thank you to the Republican men and to the Guilford County Republican Party for your hard work in putting this together. My name is Mark Walker. I'm a conservative, I'm a Republican, and I'm proud to be running for United States Congress. 2011, I reached a place that even as a minister, I could no longer be silent about the things that were going on in our country. So I embarked on a journey. 2012, I attended every city council in Greensboro had. Some may refer to that as purgatory. You make the call. But I began to search in that. In November of 2012, many like you, I sat there and I watched the results. And as those 47 electoral college votes from Ohio and Florida went to this administration, I knew in my heart that it was time to do something about it. We were gracious enough and proud enough to be appointed by the City Council to work on the Greensboro War Memorial Commission, Board of Directors for the Coliseum. Last year I was appointed to the Budget and Finance. Got 15 years of ministry experience in some of the largest churches. Also, my background is in business and finance management coming out of college. I'm running for a couple reasons. One, because I want my children and grandchildren to understand the individualism and the American exceptionalism that I've understood, my children and my grandchildren for that matter. But I also believe it's time to do something and say no to some of the atrocities that are happening in this government. As I travel from Roxborough to Rockingham, from Mebane to Mount Airy, I see a lot of hope. I see people engaging for the first time. And we want to do something about that. Again, my name's Mark Walker. Our website's walkerfornc.com, and thank you for coming out this evening.
Good evening. My name's Ken Kopp, and I'm running for the 6th District. It's gratifying to see everybody here with an interest in what's going on in politics today. It's very unusual from my history and my career to see that, and I'm really glad to see that. I want to thank the Guilford County Republican Men's Club for putting this on and giving me the opportunity to present to you tonight. I want to do two things tonight. I want to show you who I am, where I came from, why I'm running, and my background. Why I'm running, I started my career in serving this country when I was 18 years old and I went in the military. And I've been serving the country in various occupations since that time. But it was only about the last 5 years from seeing what the Obama administration has been doing to our country and to our Constitution that I could not any longer sit still. And what crystallized it for me is one day I was having dinner with my daughter in her 20s, and I asked her what's going on in the world, her idea on the issues. She looked at me and she told me that she's really scared about the economy, and that I could see in her eyes, I could tell in her voice, that she said that her ability to achieve the American dream she feels she will never see. And that made me sad and made me mad, because my generation is handed this freedom and this American dream, and our task is to turn it over and make it better for my children. And I don't see that happening. And I had to do something to run and try and make that change. I spent 10 years risking my life in the military to preserve, protect, and defend this country. And I can no longer sit still and let this administration erode our freedoms and ignore and destroy our Constitution. I believe I have the qualifications, and I'll tell you about them later. I believe I have the qualifications, the ability, and the leadership to take this 6th District and the state of North Carolina and make it the best state in the United States. Thank you.
I'm not sure about this here. Is this going to work?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Don Webb, and I want to serve you as your representative in D.C. for the 6th District in North Carolina. Let me tell you 3 quick numbers that define me: 45, 44, and 40. 45 years ago, I took a stand, a personal stand, and became a follower. I believe you have to be a follower before you can be a leader. And I made a commitment to be a follower of Christ. I've never wavered from that for the past 45 years. 44 years ago, I raised my hand at a time of war and took an oath to swear. I swore to defend the Constitution and our citizens against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And 40 years ago, I made a vow to my wife when we were married to honor her and cherish her, defend her, support her. And those 3 numbers define me. And why is that important? There's a lot of bigger numbers that are in the news. $17 trillion in debt, $100 trillion of unfunded liability, more people out of work or underemployed than have ever been in the history of this country. We had higher tax receipts in the last fiscal year than we've ever had, yet we still managed to spend over $700 million more than record tax receipts. Folks, our president is an easy target. Obamacare is an easy target, but that's not the biggest problem we have. I sit here as a Republican, a lifelong Republican. We have a leadership problem. We have a Republican leadership problem. Last week we had our debt limit increased for the 30th time in the last 30 years, and it was done so by every Democrat and every member of the Republican leadership. I will not support John Boehner as the chairman or as the Speaker of the House if elected, and I will support articles of impeachment on President Obama immediately.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. And I do want to make a mention that Jeff Phillips is also a candidate. He was here earlier tonight, but he had a commitment that could not be on the program with us tonight. So Jeff Phillips does have a representative in the House, and we'll introduce her at the end of the program.